Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, and new episodes are released most Wednesdays. So back off, man. We're professionals. Listener discretion is advised.
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in shit.
Last night, Darth Vader came down from planet Vulcan and told me that if I didn't take Lorraine out, that he'd melt my brain.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello and welcome back to the New Way podcast, where we break down pop culture so you don't have to. I am one of three of your hosts for tonight, Mr. Matthew Shank. I am joined. You know what? I'm going to go a little bit reverse order because I'm going to save our special one for the last. Number one up on our guest list is Mr. Nicholas Santacroce, zooming
Finally
in from Los
made
Angeles.
The number one slot.
You made
baby.
it into the number one host slot. I love it,
baby.
And you know what? And no one else. It's just me and Nick tonight. It's gonna be a great night. We're really excited to talk about things.
Kevin Smith's seminal work, Dogma. Are we gonna finally have the Kevin Smith podcast, Matt? Finally?
By the way, at some point in my life, I'll feel confident not to revisit the Nick and Matt Kevin Smith podcast.
Listen, you've had
unlistenable.
You've had a borderline questionable. Just give up the lead here.
Oh! Be quiet. Our guest is piping up a little bit too early here, but that's fine. No, and making his triumphant return to the New Way podcast is, of course, the great Benjamin Scott Wilson.
They've rebuilt me.
We did.
Stronger,
Yeah,
faster, not more intelligent, but
$1
Well,
million man.
So if my voice sounds different, it's because a part of my throat was removed and then replaced with part of my arm.
Now
It's alive.
So I want to let our fans know, our audience know, that at the New Way we are professionals. We are prepared for any outcome that might happen in the course of recording our podcast. So Ben and I actually met months ago before his surgery, and we recorded some things using a voice generator just in case he would come back and be unlistenable on the podcast. So I'm not gonna play them all at once, but I'm gonna play a few of them here, just interspersed throughout the podcast. So this is number one. This was really weighing on Ben. He wanted to get this one out here. So here we go.
Put me down for 10 grand.
Nope. Wrong. Stop. Here we go. One more.
So
I'm so sorry.
Close.
I blew the bit so bad out of the gate.
That was going so well.
It's been so long. It's so hard to do this. You have no idea. All right.
So good.
Here we go. No, I promise this one's going to be correct.
Fuck, this is terrible. Just call it.
Let's call it. End the show. Right, here we go.
Thank you, Matt. It's great to be back here on the New Way podcast. I have spent the last few months thinking about even more ways to discuss the groundbreaking films Alien and Aliens into the podcast, and I am confident that we will have a spirited and respectful discussion tonight about both films.
And what's amazing is that even Ben was still not sure, even as recently as this morning, about whether or not he would come back. And he's got some hot takes. And I don't know if you guys are ready for these hot takes, but I'm going to play just one of those hot takes right now. And this involves the new Leonard Bernstein biopic that Bradley Cooper is doing right now. So I'm going to play this hot take right now.
I think people are being too sensitive about Brad Cooper's nose in the Bernstein biopic. This may be controversial, but I often feel I am the best choice of actor to portray famous Jewish characters, and I'm tired of being told I'm out of touch and should stay in my lane.
I mean, that was a hot take that Ben really feels he is the proper choice for most Jewish roles in cinema. It's amazing.
It is much harder to hear that like first generation Apple Zarvox voice than actually.
First of all, that's not to break the fourth wall. That is a Stephen Hawking generator, Nick. This is not
to ruin the bit. I am the best actor.
You really are. I
mean, come on.
Ben's just waiting to age into Tevye so that he can really, really lean in on that role and do it. So we'll play some more of these throughout the night as we feel comfortable. Where Ben really just kind of let loose, saying, you know what, this might be how I have to communicate in the podcast from now on, and I'm gonna do it. So it's gonna be great.
Wow.
I'm doing the best I can.
Unbelievable.
I added a late minute note to my notes, which I already forgot about, which is kind of amazing as it was 5 minutes ago, to say talk about Nick's magnificent hair. But really, we do need to discuss.
No.
Nick's hair looks phenomenal tonight. He's got a little bit of a trim of the mane. He's got the mustache and flavor saver, if you will, just really rocking tonight. It's great.
I call it the hipster Zappa, but please, Matt, let's. This is how you treat me. Ben just came back from throat reconstruction surgery. It's triumphant return. You had a Stephen Hawking generator for him, and you actually like my Zappa. It's like an alternate dimension. I'm not getting ganged up on. This is wonderful.
I'm having a really nice night being back with my friends tonight. I'm sorry. What can I say? I'm a softie tonight.
And everyone can't see Matt. Matt looks like he is 5 years old because he is now in full Vince Fontaine in Greece outfit.
I had to shave.
I'm looking forward to seeing Weekend After Next.
I had to shave everything off. Everything, by the way, everything.
Oh, wow.
I went full method on this, and I got down to bare bones.
Matt looks like one of the actors in To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen.
Oh God.
One of the
right here, please.
The decoys, like Matt's about to make some sweet tea.
I did. That's so weird.
Hello, young people. I am totally of your age.
Fellow young people.
I did receive a very nice compliment from our John Reinsvold, who has been in the podcast on one episode before and has shied away from others. Friend of the podcast, John Reinsvold, who said, "You look much younger and sexier than normal, and you should keep it." And literally the first words out of my mouth were, I cannot wait to be able to grow my little bit of facial hair back. I am so uncomfortable with the way I look and the way I see myself in general right now. It's not happy.
If only you could see yourself the way that the rest of the world does.
So that's funny you should say that, Nick. So I know Ryan's been waiting for a lot of the Grease tea to be aired on the podcast. So I'm gonna give some good Grease tea right now. And I promise we'll get through this very quickly, and then we will not talk about Grease anymore. But I am in the process. We've finished our first weekend of Grease. We are starting our second weekend tomorrow, and we run for 3 more weekends.
Matt is playing in Grease right now. He's playing Vince Fontaine, which is
Main brain.
Yes,
main brain, baby.
But I am the more important thing is I am also playing Teen Jock, and I am a teenager in the show. So there is someone in our production.
That was like the first draft of the Michael J. Fox film. Like, don't you think it should be something a little more than Jock? Like just a little more than Jock.
Maybe put some wolf in there.
Yeah.
That's a good gag. That's an amazing gag. No, so I was out with some of the cast on Friday night after our opening night. And there is a member of our cast who's a very young actress. She is, I think, 16 or 17 years old. And she was talking about the Vince Fontaine in her production. And she's like, well, yeah, because Vince is always, like 60. And I was like, well, not in our production. She's like, no. And again, this is not exactly how this all came out, but the gist of it was that she thought I was a 60-year-old man doing this, and that my main thought after hearing that was, does she think our director cast a 60-year-old man to also be a teen in the ensemble? To be like, yeah, Granny, tell me more.
It's Grease, man. All rules are off.
There's a lot going on there.
Did you get very far, Shuddy?
Hey, go grease lightning. Oh hell, I don't remember the rest of it. So yeah, so we did Grease this weekend, and I had only two mishaps happen. One on our actually
only two. That's great, buddy.
Well, many on our dress rehearsal, and then just one on opening night. Opening night, I ate it really hard on stage, like full on fell visibly to everyone, and bad enough that people on stage went, ooh,
and never done that.
Which I could have gotten away with it, but the girls were like, no.
Matt, did I ever tell you this story where I was trying to impress a girl and I was at the downtown market that we went to?
Oh, yes.
Blade Runner,
yes.
And
Tell this
I
one.
fell off a banister and like the sound of my skull literally echoed through the farmer's market, and I got that. And you know what? As bad as that was, and as mortifying as it was to do this in front of this girl that I'm courting, that it was the from the crowd. That was the worst. That was by far the most haunting, worst part of that memory.
And you were like,
I was full on grape lading it, full on, and I just tried to brush it off, like I'm fine, I'm fine, and I was sweating profusely. It was awful. It was absolutely, like I ran a marathon.
I somewhat lucked out in that so this is during You're the One That I Want, the very iconic number at the end of Grease that we paid a lot of money to do in the stage production, because it's not actually in the stage production, it's only in the movie. And we have her in her full Olivia Newton-John outfit, and she's doing it's on the second verse, and she's walking by the guys and kind of like shaking her ass in our direction, and we're like guys falling on table. Now, I'm not one of those guys. I'm trying to clear a stairwell that she has to get up on, and it happened quicker than we had anticipated. And my left foot caught the stairwell, and ate it really hard. Landed like full weight on my right knee. My right knee is still very messed up right now. And then I leap up because I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. And I'm like, and the sound guy goes, I thought you were just like doing what the other guys did, where like she did the thing. I'm like, I really hope other people thought that. Because for me, what was happening in my head during the rest of the chorus is I'm singing along and I keep looking down because it hurt bad enough that I thought I might be bleeding through my khakis. And that was going to embarrass me more if I went up for bows, because we're about to do like the end of the show.
Did you say bleeding through your khakis?
Bleeding through your khakis is what you said. Oh my God!
It hurt.
A metal man name.
I scraped and hit it hard enough that I thought I might be bleeding.
That's the Ned Flanders metal cover band album name, Bleeding Through My Khakis.
So
have you heard of that? That's a real band. It's a metal band that just sings about Ned Flanders. Anyway,
I know
Oakley Dokley. Oakley Dokley is a plug.
I mainly my main concern at this point during the rest of the song was I don't want the audience to feel bad, because that'll make me feel more nervous about this. And I'm like,
you had to fall again. You had to fall five more times.
So I'm doing my like do's, and you're the one I want. And every time we get to the do, I go do, and then look down at my leg to make sure I'm not bleeding through my khakis, and I go, okay, we're still okay. And I did that through the rest of the two choruses, and just kept glancing down like do. Nope, still not bleeding through my legs. I think it's okay. It was bad, but I will say, as embarrassing as that was to happen in front of an audience, bar none, the worst performance I have ever given or been involved in happened on our dress rehearsal. Thank God no one there. So, why
couldn't I have been sitting in on this one, Matt?
You would have fucking loved this. So, all respect to our crew. We are dealing, Nick has seen this, we are dealing with what are essentially parade floats. It's like the Rose Bowl parade of just moving sets around and moving pieces. Every scene is a different setup, but we have these amazing sets that they got from the people that did Noises Off there, that they bought all the sets from them, and they've like rebuilt Grease on top of all of the wagon units that they had for those. And it's amazing. But there's this 3-step set of stairs that is, so everything locks, right? So because all this stuff is moving, you have these 2 locks on each side. They're foot locks. So you kind of like pop them down with your foot, or you release them with your foot. And then you can move them around and do all this stuff. And then when they're meant to be stable, they're stable. So this one set piece was having apparently, unbeknownst to me, some difficulties being stable because they moved our scene to a different part of the stage. And apparently that part of the stage was not even as it was when it was on center stage. So so as Vince Fontaine, my entrance, I have to come literally bounding up these steps and then like be like, hey, fellow kids, like, and do this bit. So on Thursday night, I run up the steps and I hit the stairs and they move very visibly underneath my feet to the point where I thought I was going to fall back through the doors or fall off the set. So I hit them and I'm like, phew, and I immediately run down them. And the first people I see are a friend of the podcast, Elizabeth, and my buddy Chris, who are Jan and Roger in front of me. And their faces are just staring at me like, what the fuck just happened? And I'm like, I don't know. And I squeak out my first line. And then my brain starts to catch up with the fact that I almost just fell down the stairs and I'm nervous. And I do something that in my defense, I will say, and what actually made all of this go catastrophically wrong, I'm not known for dropping lines or blocking, like, ever. I'm really methodical.
Dropping loads.
Yeah, I am known for dropping loads. That is correct, Ben.
That's just on your Wikipedia. It can't be. It's not a trusted source.
Does not drop lines, but drops loads left and right.
In fact, I'm starting to have a sneaking suspicion that you put that in there, Matt. But I don't have any proof.
I mean,
I don't have proof.
Ain't I a stinker? No. So what has happened to me blocks my brain out. And so my next line is also the cue for the band to start playing the next scene. And I just go dead. And I start wandering around the stage. And I remember turning around and seeing Chris and Elizabeth, and they're dancing to no music, because at this point they should be dancing to music, but I'm not saying my cue line. And both of them are staring at me. And I'm like, fuck, which one of these two fucks forgot their line? And then I look at Elizabeth and she stares at me and I go, oh, it's me. I forgot my line. And so I squeak it out. I get the music going and I'm like, okay, all right, I've got to recover. So I walk over to the woman that's playing Miss Lynch in our show, the teacher. And I go, and in character, while like the rest of the scene's going on, but quietly, I'm like, how about those stairs here at Rydell High? And she goes, we got it. And she walks over and she hits the lock on them. And I go, okay, the problem was the lock. She has hit the lock. We're good to go. So I make my rounds. I make the very inappropriate. I make the very inappropriate scene where I hit on the teenage girl, and then I have to run back to the stairs and bound back up them again. So the second
something about you saying bounding up the stairs that just paints such a visual.
It's the only way I can describe it. And the problem is also I have got all of Matt's body weight bounding up the stairs. So if they're not solid, things are moving a lot. So I bound them a second time, and the same thing. Fucking stairs skirt out from underneath me, and I do like there's a fucking earthquake at Rydell. And now I'm fucked. Like, now it's happened twice, and I'm so afraid of these stairs. I don't know what to do with them. And so I get through I have like a little monologue, right? And then something very terrible happens after this. So
there's more.
And there's more. It gets really bad. So I have to make these two rounds, and they're the exact same rounds, but I do very different things in them. When the stairs moved, it knocked everything out of my brain as to what I'm supposed to do. So I skipped ahead to the second part of it, and I start tapping people out of the dance. They have not started dancing yet in proper for the scene. So everyone is like looking at me like, why are you tapping us out of we haven't done the hand jive yet. And I'm like, I run around the circle and I do like tap people out. And I'm like, I did good. I did the thing I'm supposed to do. And then I look at the girl that's like, I'm supposed to dance with. And she's like staring at me, and I go, oh, I forgot about our whole dance sequence. So then I start to do that dance sequence, but I'm several beats behind. God. And I literally I'm a bull in a china shop. I start infecting the entire hand jive. I am bouncing around between people. I am not on my blocking. The whole scene just collapses. Like everything about everyone's trying. And so after it, and this is the funny part about it, honestly. So all of this happens, and I walk off stage, and I'm almost crying, mortified. Like, I've never been so bad on stage.
And Christopher Guest, the director, is just staring at you.
So no one knows the reason
Kathleen
that
O'Hara says that was brilliant.
Yes. So what happens is I get off stage and everyone's just like, man, hand jive was a mess tonight. But no one has figured out that I'm patient zero. Like, I am what infected all of hand jive and ruined it because I'm not known for being off my shit.
You're hiding the bite on your sleeve.
I did,
pulling down the sleeve a
exactly,
little bit.
so I just remember like we get to notes in the night, and there was like a talk about the beginning hand jive and nothing else, and I go, guys, I'm so sorry, I just need to apologize. I shat the bed so bad tonight, and it was just in fairness to me, I don't normally do this, so no one thought it was me. Everyone's just like, we had a really bad hand jive tonight. I don't know what happened. I'm like, I know exactly what happened. I was fucking bouncing around like a pinball, just like infecting everyone at the dance. It was terrible. I will say, I have never in my life had a worse performance on stage, and I don't think I ever will. Like, and then by opening night, everything was perfect. Like, it went great.
Nothing worse than waking up in the morning and being like, man, that was an awful hand jive last night.
Just give a really bad hand jive last night. So bad. So that will conclude the Grease talk until I get to the end of the production. I'm sure there'll be many more stories.
Wow, man.
But we had a wonderful opening weekend. And we're sold out of almost all of our shows. So if you want to come see it, good luck buying a ticket. But
wow. Just find Matt in the parking lot scalping all the reserve seats.
Just jiggle the lock on those stairs, and I guarantee you're going to see a great show.
But if you can't make it to Grease, as a Patreon subscriber to The New Way, you can get a digital copy of Matt bleeding through his khakis, an acoustic cover of the Grease soundtrack. I highly recommend.
We will make him bleed through his khakis.
Yes. Well, and speaking of theater, I do want to bring up other friends of the podcast.
Boy, you're going to be bleeding through your khakis when this night's over.
Because they are now actual friends of the podcast because they've been on it. But we have some casting announcements to make. We're going to break this on air right now. So January 5th and 6th of 2024, Peter Pan will be appearing at the Standing Ovations Theater.
Yeah, Standing Ovation Theater.
Standing Ovation, which Elizabeth recognized from the audition photo that I had from Luna. She's like, oh, I know exactly what theater that is. Luna will be playing Wendy Darling in Peter Pan, and Margot will be playing Nana and one of the Brave Girls in Peter Pan. So unreal. Like, this gave me so much joy this week. You have no idea.
Which the irony is Luna went in there like fucking like sure she was gonna get Pan or Hook.
Yes.
And then they make her read for Wendy, and I was just like, you're getting Wendy.
Yeah.
Like, straight up. And I was just like, sorry, you project, you sing well, and you're a girl.
And she knows Tender Shepherd, which that also cracks me up that we were singing that when Nick was still in town, because that number makes me laugh really hard. That's been one of my favorites from Peter Pan, because the original girl that I listened to doing Wendy on like the old Mary Martin podcast. Tender Shepherd. And I'm like, this is amazing. So I knew, like, then Luna and I were making fun of that. In the back of my head, I was like, she's gonna get Wendy. She's gonna. But I think she was very excited and nervous and excited about getting that role.
She lost her mind.
Yeah, she really did. She FaceTimed me 3 times in a row. She'd like start to talk and she'd be like, I don't know what to do, and then she'd like, I gotta go. And then like a second later, call back like, all right, I'm ready to go. Nope, I can't do this anymore. I gotta hang up. So I'm super excited. I have blocked those days out. I don't care what show I might be involved in. I will not miss those dates.
The 5th and 6th.
The 5th and 6th.
Okay, you said 26th before.
No, I said 5th and 6th.
Okay, 5th and 6th. Right.
January 5th and 6th. For all of those New Way listeners that want to come and see Peter Pan.
Good,
absolutely.
I had something and I already moved it twice. So
yeah, me too.
I will say, and also, in case you feel that Ben is maybe like blowing a little bit of wind out of your skirt, Ben recorded this even before we started the podcast. So this is where his thoughts on this, like just days ago.
But first, did you know that one time in college I had sex with an adult goat? A lot of people were angry because they heard the goat was underage. But I want to set the record straight that the goat was 18 years old and full capable of making adult goat decisions.
Jesus.
That's right. A lot of people yeah.
And by goat, I mean Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, it was really Ben was worried that people would be upset that the goat was underage, and he wants to set it straight. This goat was of age and was ready and willing to go with him. So it's good stuff.
I have something I want to chime in with. So
tell us about the goat.
Yeah. It was wonderful. No. So I put together something that was really bizarre, and I'm really sorry that I feel like I have to do this now because I'm not sure the timing's going to work out where we're going to have Jamie and Elizabeth on the same podcast.
Oh yes,
at the same time. I do feel like you should probably disclose what I'm going to say before we release this podcast. But
no, I love this. We don't edit the new way, other than a couple of moments.
Oh, God, no.
And
just got, 2 or 3.
So basically, what this got inspired by is somebody said that their horoscope was the tagline of their movie, the #1 movie the day they were born.
Ooh. I like this.
And I was like, okay, before I'm even going to look at this, I'm going to change it. I'm going to say your sexual horoscope is your tagline for the #1 movie the day you were born. And I started looking it up, and I lost my fucking shit. So I'd like to give you your sexual horoscopes. So,
Jamie and Elizabeth, perk up right now. Perk those ears up right now.
So this is what somebody would say after having a sexual encounter with you.
Okay.
For Nick, take the high road to adventure.
Yeah.
Not too bad, right?
He's like a Disney attraction.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was Return of the Jedi.
He's like the Canada film that you listen to in Epcot.
It was the high road to China.
High road to adventure. Oh, I know what that means.
In March or in the whole year of 1983?
No. That was the weekend you were born. That was the #1 movie.
Oh, got it.
High road to adventure.
Wow.
You'll believe Matt, you'll believe a man can fly.
I love it so much. And I do.
I'll actually skip to Paul now. Paul is the Man of Steel has met his match.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
Mine is, this is a hell of a way to make a living.
These are dead on so far, I gotta say.
Right? So Ryan's is, he's afraid, he's alone, he is 3 million light years from home.
Wow.
Is that Starman?
No, it's E.T.
Oh.
He was born in the summer of E.T. But if he had been born 2 weeks later, it would have been this much fun just couldn't be legal, which is also
What movie is that?
And also, he stole that fucking movie from me, E.T. on the island.
All right. Deep breath.
Deep breath, house in Texas.
Oh, right. It's okay, Matt. You gotta let it go.
I will never let it go, and he's going to be staying with me in September, and I will not let him live it down.
Ryan, just be sure to look under the pillows, under the bed, and in the blinds for the noise-making machine.
There's going to be so many of them there, he'll never find all of them.
Would you guys like to guess on Beth?
Ooh, so Beth is 84?
Man, 83.
83.
It is very short. It is What a Feeling.
Wow, okay. Flashdance.
Flashdance. There you go.
In fairness, that is Ben's first description of Beth to me after the first time they were together. So, yeah, I get that. That's right.
My dad, Scott Wilson, may have the best one, which is it would take more than a man to lead the slaves from bondage. It would take God.
I don't know about that one.
Wow.
I don't think that works
Ten
in
Commandments.
context.
That's deep. That's a deep one.
I thought it was pretty funny. Actually, Patrick's is the best.
Wow. That's
Come
gonna
to
be
laugh, come to cry, come to care, come to terms.
Terms of endearment?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my
be.
God. His movie is Terms of Endearment.
Wow.
That's a lot.
He's coming a lot there.
Well, I mean, that is Patrick, in fairness.
every day and night I'm coming. Every day and night I love to come the gym.
Elizabeth's is justice has its price, which is from a civil action. However, she was born on a Thursday. If she was born on Friday, it would have been Varsity Blues, which is make your own rules. I like that one.
I like Make Your Own Rules better. I think that's a good one.
I don't want your life.
That's also just a stark reminder to me of how much younger Elizabeth is than us.
Right.
Her movie is in 99.
That is a stark reminder.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying JB's,
No.
which is hell upside down.
Hellraiser? Exorcist?
Yeah.
Hell upside down. The Poseidon Adventure.
Oh my God. The Poseidon
Nice.
Adventure. That's a good one.
But as a sexual,
This is going to be the new add in bed to your fortune.
Yes.
It's going to take the world by storm.
I think JB's going to
Wow.
appreciate that one for sure.
And I actually, speaking of which, I had Chinese food the same night as my mother, hundreds of miles away. And I sent her a picture of my fortune, and she sent me a picture of hers. Mine was one of the most bizarre fortunes I've ever gotten. And it said, you will be on the list of, quote, the excellent people, end quote, this year.
Oh my
Which,
God.
where is that list? What does that mean? But it's actually a fortune. It's actually predicting I'm going to be on this list. So I loved it. Of course, I took a picture immediately. I sent it to my mom, and my mom goes, I got a interesting one too. Sends it back to me. It says, men show their character nothing more clearly than that by what they think laughable. And I was like, okay.
That's a rare thing to have in the Asian community to say that too.
I know. Well, I mean, I don't think that this is an authentic reflection of the Asian community. However,
and now I'm suddenly regretting being like hell upside down.
yeah. I thought that was strangely poignant.
Yours, Nick, is similar to one of the ones that I've saved for many years because it is so specific and it makes me feel like it's an Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade challenge. But mine says, when the time comes, pick the second one from the left.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
And I'm like, that is terribly specific. And also,
wow.
when is that time that I when am I picking the poison properly?
You're gonna do it though. You're gonna find something one day, and you're gonna remember it.
First of all, I found 100 of them since then. There are moments all the time that I'm swiping left. I'm like, nope, not you. I read that fortune cookie. It's going to be her. And then it goes terribly.
Waking life when he sees the thing on the street and says, look to your right, and the car hits him.
Yeah.
Well, and it's very similar, actually, to something that Ben shared with me before his surgery. So I'm going to play another Ben quote here, because this is sort of apropos right now.
Call me crazy, but I think giving women the right to vote was a huge mistake.
I know that, and Ben really is just a lot of hot takes on here. Does not like to have women having the right to vote, but I get it, man. I know it's gone terribly for us, right?
Listen, I came out from anesthesia, and all of a sudden, I just put one of those flow crone stickers on my fucking truck, and
you're just maybe what's wrong with the world is that women have the right to vote, and call me crazy, but I think maybe they shouldn't. Maybe things go better.
They might have suffrage, but we're the ones suffering. Am I right, fellas? Am I right, fellas?
It's gonna take me a long time to get back to the applause.
so unfair to this second. Oh my god.
That took me too many soundboards to get back to. So I have too many of Ben's hot takes queued up, but that was a good one.
Matt's bounding up the metaphorical soundboard stairs right now.
This is the equivalent of me shitting the bed on stage during Grease and just being catastrophic.
But before we get into the topic, like the fortune thing also reminded me of something that I found out and made me weirdly. It hit me pretty hard, and that was when Paul Rubens died. That one was a rough one for me. It was a really rough one. And like I've had a lot of people, a lot of celebrities that had some, big mark on my life come and go since Prince and Bowie, and it was, fine. In fact, I don't know, I felt more numb than usual with COVID and everything else. But Paul Rubens absolutely hit me, and I found a meme that when he takes when Pee-wee gets his fortune, the beginning of Big Adventure, and says the famous fortune, "Do not leave the house today." That machine worked on your horoscope. And I never noticed this until now. But Pee-wee is a Pisces, just like your main man, Nick Santacroce. And that really, I don't know, it really hit me. Because of course he would be. Of course he would be a fucking Pisces. He's annoying, hilarious.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Well dressed.
I agree with you.
You and Billy Corgan had something in common.
Yeah, and the rumor about me in the movie theater is completely false.
No, you guys did. Listen, you guys both went to Tampa, and you both had a good time in Tampa, and it was consensual, and it was fine. And
but also, like, what other thing about that? Since we're trying to pay the man tribute,
yes,
like back then, like that was about someone. I saw this at a stand-up routine.
It's something that wouldn't even be a fucking controversy now.
But like somebody had to go into a porno theater and be like, oh. What's that guy do? And we're like, report it. Like for that to happen.
And recognize him, and he was in his his looking like he did in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where he was not very recognizable.
I don't know. I don't like to make.
Wait a minute. Ben's hot take is that when Pee-wee was jerking off, he couldn't get rid of the Pee-wee voice. So people were like, well, obviously that's Pee-wee. And they're like,
it wasn't Pee-wee.
Yeah,
okay. Stop. Listen, it was not Pee-wee. Stop, guys. It was not Pee-wee in the theater. It was Paul Rubens, a mortal man who, if his greatest crime was, I mean, look, I don't want to make apologies for, follow the law. Okay, don't do this. But in terms of like relative victimless crimes, I mean, I don't know.
It's not a gas station. You pay before you pump.
I mean,
God
also,
this really did, in earnest, this was supposed to start off as an
in the grand scope of terrible things that happened in Tampa. This is like so far down on the list, it doesn't even register. There are 8 billion worse things that have happened in Tampa in the last week.
I'm not trying to discredit your wonderful in memoriam that you're trying to do here, tribute. No, because Paul Rubens was a true artist, and absolutely 100%. Like, it hit me too. It hit me more than, at least a lot more than most other recent celebrities.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul Rubens, Ninja Turtles, and Weird Al are like kind of in a class of their own in terms of like my childhood.
Nick was here when the Paul Rubens thing happened, and he shared like a post on his phone to me, and it was some post from Weird Al about Paul Rubens. But my first thought was that he was sharing that Weird Al had died as well. And there was like a 10-second moment where my entire world collapsed so hard.
Your body
and I was
stopped,
like,
your heart stopped.
What is happening? This is not possible. And I was so upset. So we still have Weird Al, and he's a vegan. He's going to live for a fucking billion years. But yeah, Paul Rubens was a huge loss.
I'm knocking on wood.
No, 100%. I as well. Like it was. I don't think there's anyone that was not in our generation, or even a few years younger than us or older, that were not really affected by. But because it was also one of these that was happening silently, so it wasn't like we knew he was sick or knew he was getting old, and he didn't want people to know because he didn't want Pee-wee's final song to be this like sad thing. Like it's really terrible. Like it was really awful, and an amazing body of work for a human being. Like, absolutely just amazing. And the only really good positive side of it is watching his first Letterman appearance where he's pimping Back to the Beach, which is a movie I watched specifically because of Pee Wee Herman, that was like a Frankie and Annette throwback that was like so dated even by the time it got to us. Like, I didn't understand that it was like Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon and any of this shit. But like he was keeping all of these things alive for us as a kid, and our parents were getting a little something different out of what he was doing, because there was like that subversive side to him that was a little bit adult, especially in the original special, the Phil Hartman penned one.
Yeah, think of who came up with him. Phil Hartman, Fishburne. There were some really interesting pairings there. I was a big fan of that guy. And the other thing that was coming out was he would basically make, for all intents and purposes, homemade cameos.
Yeah.
For every person he cared about or knew and met on the street for their birthday, would do a 5-minute video. He was called the King of Birthdays. I think that the whole like arrests and everything, in a way, it, at least for a while, held children performers to a higher standard, which probably is a good thing at the end of the day. I don't know if if this had happened in the age of internet pornography, if he would have made it out to that theater, or if that was in fact why he was there. But I don't know. You look at the body of work. I think it all comes back to that bigger question of like, do you listen to Michael Jackson? Do you still watch Louis C.K.? It's kind of different for everybody, and it's
and he was not hurting anyone.
He was an adult theater.
And I think,
because he was Pee-wee, because it was kids. I understand that backlash. I don't think it was necessarily deserved in circumstance, but when you think about it, it absolutely was because of the character Pee-wee. He was so, like, even earlier you said Pee-wee's in the theater as a joke, but like that is part of the reason he was intertwined with that character, and there were only a few comedians and artists that really, like, you could say that about.
And I mean, listen, and if you really look back on the legacy, like it wound up being almost a great thing to happen to him, because then we get Buffy, right? And he comes out with this performance in Buffy that is so fucking funny that he probably would not have gotten away with if he had not already separated our minds from Pee-wee by this public thing that happened, which that comes back to, again, like, how much are these people doing things that are self-destructive? Like, did he really need to be going and jerking off in Clearwater, Florida at this, at a movie theater? Or was he just like, I can't get away from Pee-wee, and I don't know how to get away from Pee-wee, and it's very difficult.
That's all speculation, but yes, absolutely. And I guess it kind of is what it is at this point, Matt. But despite all that, I mean, I had the Pee-wee dolls, I had Pee-wee pajamas and cherry stuffed animal. I had a horrifying ventriloquist doll that Adrian has now with a pull string in the back where his jaw would very violently open and close. The Big Adventure is top 5 movie for me. When you visited, I took you to the Pee-wee house. My mom visited, I took her to the Pee-wee house. I take everyone to the Pee-wee house, and there's as predictably a big showing of love out there in front of that house, and of course that's just people who own that now, but there are flowers and bicycles and all sorts of things.
I watched, as early as this afternoon, I watched Jim Carrey on The Living Color doing the Pee-wee like pull string doll, and it's the Pee-wee with like the goatee, like it's the Paul Rubens mugshot, like Pee-wee, and he's got a hand motion where he beats a drum, which I'm amazed the network actually let them get away with. But he's like, watch him beat the drum, and he's like beating the drum. He's like, that's not the only thing he beats. And also Jim Carrey doing a pitch perfect Pee-wee impersonation, like every intonation of it just dead on. And I remember that was such a huge, like, as a kid, that was and not even a kid, like this was happening when I was, for me at least, I was 14, 15 years old when this was all happening. So it was like, it wasn't breaking a barrier for me. It was just kind of like, okay, yeah, this is an adult man that did a thing, and it's funny. Like, I'll watch all of the humor based out of it, but also I was not like, it's not ruining my childhood, and I'll watch other things he's in. And as soon as I saw Buffy, I was like, this guy is fucking brilliant.
So I remember there being a hard stop because I was obsessed with Pee-wee, and I remember all of a sudden it just stopped.
Done. Yep, done.
That's what was done. And it really wasn't until Mystery Men that I saw Paul Rubens again, and I love 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 Mystery Men. Like I love that movie.
It's a good blow too, honestly.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people bring up anymore because, especially now, it's so relevant and so funny. But yeah, Paul Rubens in that movie is just so effortlessly charming and so funny. Like as a guy who farts.
Yes,
like, that's his.
He's a fart joke personified.
But he's so great. And,
I think we all kind of put what's part of life now. It's just part of like gaining consciousness, getting older, and everyone is going to have this moment where they're heroes. They got to face something about whether their mortal side is worth losing your fandom or finding something new to appreciate about them. And it's different for everyone. It's different for every person. But R.I.P. Paul Rubens. They painted the Capazon dinosaurs in a gray tuxedo and bow tie, which that choked me up when I saw that too. The official state of Texas San Antonio Tourism Board, did a whole tribute to him at the Alamo.
With Alamo, yeah.
But then also kind of douchily was like, by the way, no basement in our building, by the way, because we've been dealing with this for 1,000 years. I'm like, no.
They've estimated something like $20 million worth of tourism just because of that movie.
Yeah, that's the only reason I went.
No, I mean, I think it's, and I think it's really interesting to me to look at it from the generations, and that so for you guys being mystery men for maybe your gen, for me it was easy when he popped up both in Batman Returns was a big thing, like him showing up as the Penguin's father, and then in
and the mother, the Penguin's mother was
from Pee-wee as well.
Yeah, what was her name?
I forget.
Simone.
She was Simone. She was in a Carnival eventually many years later.
Simone, what's your big butt?
But
in the mouth of the dinosaur.
That was really good. Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Nick, listen, of the three of us, we knew Nick was going to nail the if Weird Al was doing the weird story and he couldn't get Yorma, it's not me and it's not Ben. He goes for Nick immediately. He knows where he's going for that role for sure.
Well, and it's funny, even for Ben, his favorite band has a song that directly quotes Pee-wee, just to see how pervasive that character was.
My favorite band's favorite song, my favorite song from my favorite band is "I'm a Loner Donnie, a Rebel."
Is that from a
kind
movie?
Of insane.
Is that from a movie?
Right. You son of a bitch.
I know. Listen. It's hard to tell with Ben because he has so many strange thoughts. Like, I mean, this is one that, like, just off the top of my head.
That is my favorite song by my favorite man.
Well, I mean, but then, like, after you say that, you have this. You say this at the same time, and I wonder about your faculties.
Sorry, Matt, but foot fucking is my favorite thing to do with my wife, and she is total into it too. We love feet. Especially when my dogs are barking.
Yeah, and now I know where your daughter gets the phrase "dogs are barking" from. It's from you, Ben, and it's gross. It's gross. It's just gross.
Did that fake Stephen Hawking simulator say "wife" like Borat?
Yeah,
it did, right? Is it just me?
He absolutely did. And I was laughing about that for about a half an hour before we started the podcast.
My wife.
One more time, just that part. I won't play the whole clip, but he absolutely does.
Sorry, Matt, but foot fucking is my favorite thing to do with my wife.
Why? Really is. The more I listened to it as I was putting them on the soundboard, he sounds kind of like a swinger Dracula. He's like a Borat Dracula. Like, I want to do it with my wife. And good.
Put through the TikTok Squidward filter.
So yeah, all right. So we had no topic for tonight other than just catching up on shit.
Surprise!
But Ryan, by the way, has been listening for 48 minutes and 22 seconds, being like, "What is the topic? I don't know what I'm supposed to be listening for." So I want to say there are two things we have to talk about. We can get to other things as well if we want to, if we have time. But we have to talk Barbenheimer because it is
Oppen and Jarby.
What was
Ninja
that?
Turtles too. Up and Ninja
Okay. I have not seen the Ninja Turtles, so absolutely you're in on that as well. But we have to talk Barbenheimer for sure.
Barbenheimer.
And like so I wound up seeing Barbie a second time last night. And I was excited to see it a second time, and after watching it, I was even more happy that I watched it a second time. It is
genius.
It is so fucking good, and everything you think is good about it the first time, you're just giving a little kick in the ass to be like, you were right. It is even better than you thought.
I was way late to the game. I think I saw its third weekend of opening, and I thought there's no way it lives up to the hype. It already almost made $1 billion at that point by the time I finally saw it in theaters, and it like absolutely blew my expectations out of the water. Truly, like I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
It was so good.
It is one of those movies that sticks in your head. And so I had a conversation so Ben and I did the full Barbenheimer. We went at 9 a.m. in the morning to watch Barbie in Boynton Beach. Then I did a production of
You started Barbie?
We started at 9:30. Then I went and did a production of West Side Story.
Wait, hold on. Before West Side Story, did you see it on pure 70 millimeter like Greta Gerwig wanted us to? The way it was intended?
No. We saw it in the XD though.
Through IMAX?
We did see it in the XD.
All right, close enough.
And
okay,
then
West Side Story.
Yeah, and then I did an entire production of West Side Story where I fell down as a fat cop. Which also, I actually, you know what? I do need to share this anecdote because it is very funny. So the actor playing Action in our West Side Story is a phenomenally funny human being. And he and I were trying to get each other to break constantly on stage. And so he eventually almost got me by one time I went up to him as a cop and like threatened his character without any words. And then he just yelled at me, "A cab," which was very funny to me. And he had been up to this point, he'd been yelling, "My father's a lawyer, you can't touch a kid," which he'd been saying a bunch of times, which not nearly as funny as A cab. But what spurred him to do the A cab was that on the Saturday performance, he like says a derogatory thing to the social worker that's running the dance. And he's like, he says a dumb thing, and I'm supposed to go up to him and just give him a look. And we do this same thing, like we did this 12 performances in a row. So I give him the look. So this one night, she's like, I'm feeling a little something different. So I put my hand on my gun. And then I look at him, and then I look at the gun. So he follows my eyes down to the gun, and then looks at me like wide-eyed, and then just turns around and starts laughing. And then I don't see him for a while because he's got like a whole scene to go. So he comes down stage afterwards, and he's like, "You're gonna shoot a kid? Yeah, God damn it, you got me." And he's like, "You were gonna shoot me because I said something dumb about the dance?" Like this tickled him to no end. But anyway, so I did West Side Story, and then Ben and I got back together. We drove out to the nice IMAX screen in West Delray. We were in a pod, like a dating pod. In there where we had like foods.
We cuddled.
We cuddled just a little bit.
The cuddling pod.
It was a great cuddling pod, and then
wait,
we watched.
Wait. Stop. Are you joking, or did you really get a cuddle pod?
We had a cuddle pod.
Wow.
We had blinders on each side of our pod to keep us separated from the other pods.
Wow.
But we could fully see each other's genitals.
And then that Floppenheim.
I did. I will say that theater. So it's not quite the true IMAX, but it's very close. But the sound in that theater,
the sound was insane. It was really
perfect, and the mix, like
watch.
Nolan's sound mix on that movie, is everything he thought he was trying to do in Interstellar. That he like, and everyone's like, we can't understand anything. I could understand every bit of dialogue in Oppenheimer, and then the sound would kick in for the shit, and it was rumbled your entire seat.
And Ben, but before you tell this story, I saw it at the historic Senator Theater. I still had trouble hearing some of the dialogue, but I was had a conversation about Ben about this before I had ever seen it. And what do you think about Oppenheimer? And the first thing you said was, the sound mixing on this one is so much better than what we're used to. But you had a great story about why that I had never heard about.
Yeah. So, to echo Matt's sentiment, seeing in IMAX was almost better for the sound than it was for the image.
Sure.
Especially in that first act, when there are all those like little clips where he's like breaking down and it just goes to those like these weird practical effects that they shot. I'm just like shit being dumped in water and like, just like, you know, pieces of light on string or whatever. There was no CGI in the movie. It was so awesome. And the sound mix was so cool. But finally he came out and said, they were like, oh yeah, why is your sound mix weird? He's like, well, I don't do ADR. So I do zero ADR. I'm like, oh, no, I don't never have any of my actors come back and do initial dialogue replacement. Which means in almost every movie you see, most of the time when you see an actor talking, it's not them talking on set. It's them replacing their sound after they talk on a soundstage.
Like 90% of the audio.
Like 90% of Hollywood movies. It's very rare for there to be like all natural sound or nat sound.
Especially for a movie like this where there's so many big ensemble scenes where they're testifying and they're doing things in these giant rooms where it's so hard to do.
But now look back through Chris Nolan's entire filmography. Dark Knight, entirely nat sound.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And you were telling me also
that's fucking wild, man.
And when they film on an IMAX camera, it's so much louder than most cameras. So, and basically he's just saying, you know, and obviously he's a purist. For a guy who makes a movie about the atomic bomb and doesn't use CGI, it's not surprising to hear also, I don't do ADR.
It blows up his children.
It's only on film.
Yeah. But like, you know, it's the technology that's getting better. It's the AI that's getting better. That's now taking the recorded sound of the IMAX camera film canisters out of the final mix. That being said, where I saw it, I still had trouble hearing it, so it's still not perfect, you know. And I was trying to explain this to my dad, and he's like, "I don't get it." I'm like, "Well, you know, he's a purist. He's a filmmaker. He's an old school filmmaker. He's shooting on film. You know, he doesn't believe in CGI." He's like, "That's fine, but you got to understand what they're saying." And he couldn't get it, and I almost kind of understand what he's.
By the way,
talking about.
I'm 100% with your dad. It's the reason why I railed against Interstellar so much is I could not fucking understand it. So in whatever it is in the theater that we saw it in, I never had a moment where I couldn't understand in full clarity every single voice in that movie. So
all across the country in every theater was like that.
And I think that's Nolan's shit. I think that's Nolan's like, don't fucking watch it on your phone because there's one theater in the world that can show this shit where it's going to be good, and the rest of you be like, the sound fucking sucked, and I didn't like that, and the explosions.
And also,
Matt,
there's another thing I want to fucking talk about. I got an axe to grind.
Oh,
here.
with Nolan or with me?
So, sort of with Nolan, because he made me take the red pill, and now now I'm looking back and I'm thinking about every IMAX movie I've ever gone to that's been hold on, Ben, has been advertised as IMAX, and I've paid extra for IMAX. And now when Nolan comes out and says the only way to see Oppenheimer is on a true IMAX 17mm print, and here's the list of 19 theaters in the entire USA,
and we didn't watch it on one of those theaters. We watched it on one of the lesser IMAX, but it was still really fucking good.
But it still said IMAX, and technically you're not getting what you're paying for. So is that a class action? Like, think about it. Think about all the years I paid extra to see an IMAX movie, and it's not been IMAX.
Nick, I love your lawsuit. Worst possible time to be making your lawsuit, maybe in the history of all lawsuits. Be like, you know what's a good time to go after the movie industry? When everything is shut down and all of that, and they're like, you know what?
Well, Nick, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that,
the
Matt?
Crew and cast. It's all those fucking crew. Let's take money out of their pockets.
That goddamn fat cats, Matt. Let's take all the money from them.
No.
I don't know if it ends up just bankrupting IMAX.
I blame all of those poor crew people that just didn't do their job well enough to make Chris Nolan's vision come to life in the way that he wanted it to be. Let's take more money out of their pockets.
Chris Nolan is a talented white man. God damn it.
I love that Nick's.
We need to be. We need to bet if he chooses not to use the industry gold standard for intelligible sound, we should bend over backward to accommodate his vision. Am I right?
Nick's Robin Hood is to just rob the editing companies that are like the last bastion of film and be like, fuck you and your sound. This sucks. I want my $10 back.
I was trying to give you a in into Barbie. Is what I was trying to do.
No, never.
As the resident Nolan hater, I reluctantly watch Chris Nolan and Cillian Murphy in the Criterion section. I was just like, please don't pick Lahan. Please don't pick Lahan. He's like, oh, Lahan, one of my favorite movies. I was like, fuck you.
Nolan is one of the few human beings that I know would hang out with Ben one-on-one, and Ben would be just fucking dying inside of how much he liked what he was saying.
The guy is fucking talented as shit.
He's an insanely educated filmmaker. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So we got to talk about the other side of Barbenheimer, which is Barbie, which also amazingly is such a fantastic film. To literally say that Barbenheimer delivered on the fact that both of these movies were equally great in different ways. And Ben, by the way, I don't want to dismiss this one because I think you nailed it so great coming out of the theater. But Ben turned to me when we were walking out of Oppenheimer, and he was like, "This is fucking JFK." And dumb Matt, by the way, was just like, yeah, JFK is talked about at the end of the movie. I'm not hearing what he was saying. And I go, no. And then Ben goes, the climax happens at the middle of the film. And then everything else is about the aftermath and the trial of what happened in it. And it's this huge ensemble where every fucking speaking part is somebody. Like, there's no one in that movie where you're like, I don't know who that is. That the janitor over there that has like one line.
That's Drake Bell.
Fucking Matthew Modine. Like, what the fuck?
Rami Malek shows up in 240.
Well, and my favorite part of it was like, what I love about those movies so much, Ben and I were talking about this, which is so great. So I'm watching Emily Blunt and Rami Malek do nothing for 2/3 of that movie, right? And I'm like, fucking what was left on the cutting floor? Fucking Nolan just like he just had to fill out this movie, and they're not going to get to do anything. And then each of them has a fucking scene that's jaw-droppingly amazing. And they're like, well, of course he was fucking waiting to deliver. Especially Emily Blunt just has a powerhouse, silent, quiet, amazing moment at the end of that movie that you're just like, of course, this is why he cast Emily Blunt, who's like just doing nothing for 2/3 of that movie, and you're like, and I mean nothing, like she's there, but you're like, okay, like did they really need to have Emily Blunt? Oh, okay, now we know why.
and non-ironically, Matt, I know we had a laugh about this at having sausages at the German house, but the performance that stole it from me, that felt the most natural and felt the most like the thing is, I really liked Oppenheimer, but I was aware of everyone giving a good performance.
Yes,
and I think I had no problem with it. But the person who felt the most like natural, like wasn't giving a performance, and it was so good, Josh Hartnett, man, was really good in that movie. I thought he was awesome.
He was awesome.
It's fine.
He was fine. He was fine. He was
bouncing. Matt's having a really hard time with it.
He was fine. You know what? He got.
Matt has, so
listen, Josh Hartnett showed up on set and he remembered the words he was supposed to say in the order they were supposed to be said, and Chris Nolan was like, "Good job, Josh. You did those and it wasn't embarrassing." And he's like, "Thanks, boss."
To all of our listeners, Josh Hartnett in high school just came by one time on a movie tour and fucked.
That's right.
That was interested. And
Listen.
Our listeners.
I will say, Josh Hartnett's fine. He's fine in the movie.
He was very good in that movie. He's very good. Dashing.
He's fine in that movie.
No lucky number 11.
Yeah.
Well, no. What can be?
I mean, so the fact that we're talking about him, number one out of that movie, and not David Krumholtz, who fucking delivers a ridiculously good performance and so much better than he needs to be. Listen, Josh Hartnett's doing just fine. He did just a fine role in that movie, but Krumholtz runs circles around him, and everyone's talking about Josh Hartnett. That bothers me.
Everyone is not talking about Josh
They
Hartnett.
are talking. Well, my brother and you, you and Ben are talking about Josh Hartnett, and that's everyone.
We're talking about him on the podcast.
Everyone's talking about Josh Hartnett.
It has nothing to do with Josh Hartnett, and Matt just wants everyone to talk about David Krumholtz. That's what the problem is.
you think that's a controversial take?
It's not about Hartnett.
1,000 times yes.
God damn it.
Christine Baranski's in that movie. No one talking about her. They're fucking talking about Josh Hartnett. Fuck Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett was great in that movie.
There are a billion character actors in this movie that should be top billing over Josh Hartnett.
It's so funny because like a month before the movie came out, like all Paul could talk about was like, I think that like Florence Pugh and Cillian Murphy are like naked together for like an hour.
And they are. And I like, and by the way, that was great too. So I have no problem with that.
Sure.
Also, that was better than Josh Hartnett. So I just, in the things that are better than Josh Hartnett movie, they're astronomical. So, all right. So let's talk Barbie. And I want to delve into something. I had a conversation with a friend of the podcast, Elizabeth, before going to see the movie last night. And I went and saw it again last night with JB and Elizabeth. JB had not seen it before. Elizabeth and I had. JB, and I'm trying to remember what it was. JB at one point lost it laughing so hard that like I thought they were going to take her out of the theater. I don't remember what moment it was, but just so great. So this is a tricky avenue to go down with this movie. Ryan Gosling, phenomenally good in this movie. Like he makes great choices in it. He is a scene stealer in the movie. And then you get to the end of it, you watch a lot of feedback in the movie, and a lot of the feedback is geared towards Ryan Gosling and geared toward the Kens and geared toward all of that. And this was the conversation Elizabeth and I had, which was kind of like, he's great, but everyone's focusing quite a bit on the male character in this Barbie movie. And I don't. Yes.
That's not the conversation that I'm in.
I will say that the really sad part of this also is that every single guy auditioning for a musical right now is doing I'm Just Ken. It's it's the fucking Will You Light My Candle of this generation now. Like this is going to be a Borat-esque thing that's happening in our culture right now. And that and Borat's a great way to put it, in that Borat is not bad, right? Borat is very funny and it's a very great performance. But there's a thing that happens when it gets adopted to a degree.
Stephen Hawking voice translator?
Ben did say this at one point.
Not gonna lie. Attack of the Clones is the most misunderstood film of all time.
Ooh.
History will look back on it as one of the most pivotal films of the millennium.
Attack of the Clones, Ben says, will be the most overlooked film of the millennium. But
stand by it.
You hear that, Patrick?
No. I'm very torn again because I watched it again last night, and I'm watching it with I've got Elizabeth's gaze on me, right? Of like, why is everyone talking about Ryan Gosling at the end of this and not the women in it? And then I'm watching it, and I'm with JB and Elizabeth, and JB is obviously responding because Ken is the comedic portion of it, whereas Margot Robbie is having to carry a lot more weight on her shoulders in terms of what her performance is. It doesn't mean his performance is like schlocky or easy, but it is also a weird thing that it is a big focus of the movie.
I don't think this is maybe a big sticking point going forward. Margot Robbie might very well win Best Actress for Barbie.
And he might win Best Actor for Ken.
I think he should absolutely be nominated. Sort of like Sean Connery deserved. Right. Well, Sean Connery deserved a nomination for supporting in Last Crusade, if you ask me, and I'll die on that hill. But
great example. Great
not necessarily
comparison.
Means he should win it. He should get nominated for Ken. But Margot Robbie carries it because she has to. That's the point of the
and she does so much in that movie that is smaller. Like, she doesn't have the scene stealing shit that he does. And it's nothing against him. He's so good. He's so fucking funny in that role.
Yeah.
And it is. And every time he's on screen, you're laughing. You're fucking responding to it.
You can't discredit him because he is really good. But
Of course not.
But she's got a much harder role to do in it.
Yeah.
And also,
all the emotional heavy lifting relies solely on stereotypical.
And
Barbie.
Rhea Perlman also, I would put for a best
America.
supporting.
Yeah.
And America,
I mean,
absolutely America.
My mom said this. My mom's like, America. I will see this movie for a second time because of America's speech at the end. And it ends up not only just being a speech, but really like intertwined into the plot.
And also the other shit she's doing in that film as well that's outside of that speech. Like everything's going to fall down in that speech, but she's doing a lot of heavy lifting as well on smaller moments, which 100%. Yeah. That's a best supporting actress.
It's almost as if the women are doing all the heavy lifting to little or no fanfare.
Well, that's ridiculous. But I mean, that's fine, Nick. Whatever you want to say. It's crazy.
We only know that Noah Baumbach actually wrote that script.
Yeah.
The whole film.
I mean, Greta Gerwig, with her female brain, could never have come up with a screenplay that amazing.
So let me ask you this: Oscars come out tomorrow. Mm-hmm. What is Barbie nominated for?
Everything.
Yeah,
everything.
I give leading nods to Robbie and to Jill Gosling.
I think Gosling is supporting.
No. I think Michael Cera is supporting, and he's fucking phenomenal in it.
Matt, there's no world that like the character of Ken, who is the literal supporting character.
Have you not watched the Oscars in the last several years where they fucking like do things ridiculous?
And he was fucking supporting a Simo.
He's fucking with us. I get it now.
I think 100%. Who is the male lead in Barbie? Who is there's a male lead and a female lead in every movie according to the Oscars. Who's the male lead in Barbie?
Will Ferrell.
God damn it! Fuck you. No. 100. Listen, because if they think he's going to get a better nod for it, but if they want to get more nods for that movie, I will put up Michael Cera or Simu Liu for supporting, and I'll put Gosling up for lead.
Michael Cera. I mean,
Michael Cera was nothing in the movie.
Mike, first of all, fuck you. Watch it again.
Stop. The role is deceptively important, but. In terms of performance, it would sort of be like
I
could have shown up and performed that role.
I highly disagree. I know that's controversial. I know you're great at everything, Ben, but I'm going to disagree that what he's doing in that movie is deceptively difficult.
You would sound like a Chris Nolan sound mix if you just dropped you in the bar.
No, I listen. We can agree to disagree. I think that Gosling is going to get a Best Actor for it. She's going to get Best Actress.
He can't, though. He can't.
No, it's important.
He can't.
He can't by what logic?
Because
by the same logic where they put The Bear as a comedy because they think it has a better chance on shit, and it's not a comedy. Fuck off.
It would be.
I will bet you $5 right now.
I will take your bet, and I will make it $25. I will make it $25 that he is nominated for Best Actor.
Calm down. You can't talk over each other. So just let me talk.
No, we can't.
I think that if you think about it.
That's a Best Actor nomination right there. Nick Santacroce fucking coming out and be like, I'm not getting a Best Supporting nod. I'm the fucking lead actor.
I agree with Ben. I think that if Hollywood has even an ounce of self-realization. Well, actually, okay, now I agree with Matt. He probably will get the lead now.
Everything you're saying. What is more?
They're not self-aware. They're not self-aware at all, so they would. I mean, they would nominate him, but the point of it would be a really like not reading the room situation.
Of course, that's what Hollywood does. Are you kidding me? That your argument is that Hollywood doesn't know how to read the room? Are you fucking kidding me? Do you know what? Do you know what they want out of this movie? They want to see 17 Academy Award nominations, and the number of Academy Award nominations is what is the most important thing. They don't care how many wins. They want to say Barbie was nominated for X number of awards, and the only way to do that is to put Gyllenhaal. I'm sorry, I keep saying Gosling as a Best Actor, and her as a Best Actress, and then we go and we make our way down for supporting, And then we get all of our special effects nods for it, which they're going to get. We get our writing nods for it, which they're going to get. They might even get a cinematography. I don't know. The Academy is weird about that shit. But this movie is so fucking popular. The Academy wants this movie to be nominated for more Oscars that gets people to tune in and say, I watched Barbie win this Oscar.
It would help them because, on the one hand, it is a popcorn summer blockbuster that delivers huge on all the levels that the Academy strives for, like writing and performances. It is a unicorn, and you're not wrong.
By the way, guys, it is going to lose everything other than screenplay. It's going to lose everything other than screenplay to Oppenheimer.
Highest grossing Warner Brothers movie of all time.
Greta will win director. Greta will win director.
I think you could be. That's up in the air. I don't know. It could be her or Nolan. But the acting is going to go to Oppenheimer. But Barbie's going to get all the nods, and she's going to get. She's going to get screenplay.
And I believe it's between Oppenheimer and Barbie for Best Picture. I think that's fair. But like Greta will win for director, and she deserves to win.
And she's going to win for screenplay.
Greta deserved to win for Lady Bird. Lady Bird was the best film of 2016. So, yeah.
It's look. We're first of all, we're just three fucking dudes.
I know,
debating about this in our basement, essentially.
And here's the thing:
so we don't know anything, but we have feelings.
Barbie has so we're enough. The Barbie movie. The Barbie movie, here's the thing. There are so many, like, it's such a zeitgeist now, and there's so many sub-topics you can go off of, like how a studio marketed it. Now that it's a hit, what are you going to do? Margot Robbie isn't signed on for a sequel. Neither is Ryan. Would it even be a good sequel? Would it be as impactful as a sequel? Of course not. It would if they made a sequel, it would lampoon the plot of their own fucking movie. There's so many things you can talk about on every level, but what I don't want to get lost in it is it is such a well-made movie. It's just a provocative movie. It's just a funny movie.
Meta.
Yeah.
It deserves all the praise it got and more. It's fucking genius. And if you're one of the guys that sees that movie and thinks it's man-hating or is offended, look in the fucking mirror.
I want
to mirror.
And I want to say there, and to me, I believe it is one employee at Mattel, and I don't know who the employee was, but there is one employee at Mattel that continually said, "Don't worry, guys, this is gonna go great for us. Don't worry." And they kept sending scripts back to Mattel, and Mattel was like, "You fucking kidding me with the Will Ferrell shit?" And they're like, guys, trust me, this is going to make us a." And I think it's the personification of the one exec at the end when he's like, "That's a terrible idea," and the guy's like, "No, regular Barbie is going to make a lot of money," and he's like, "All right, let's do it." Like, I think that is 100% a moment that happened in the Mattel boardroom, because what Mattel allows them to do in this movie is, to me, unprecedented in terms of product. Shift. Like it's unreal. And there's got to be one person that fought for that at Mattel to be like, guys, you've got to think way beyond all of this. And yes, we are going to get made fun of, and we are going to be dragged through the muck for this, but it's going to be so great for us on the other side.
It was a lot of people, I think, that got this through the finish line. Yeah. And the fact is, it's big in so many ways, but it is a literal paradigm shift to see a company that it's so meta. It directly calls themselves out. It directly talks about their mistakes, how they handled the pregnant Barbie Midge, which is a whole other rabbit hole. Like highly recommend you go down. But it shows again. At the end of the day, we're only going to go with something if it makes money. Whether it makes fun of us or we as a smoke and mirrors to avoid scandal or to distract audience, whatever it is, it's ultimately always going to come down to money. So you're right. The people that convince them to just take one on the chin and cross your fingers that it doesn't back. I mean, because the thing is, what do they really have to lose? They don't really have anything to lose outside of this this ego thing of calling yourself out.
I don't know. I think they had a lot. I think they had a lot to lose.
What did they have to lose?
Well,
by being self-aware and making fun of themselves. That is like a political when you're running for president to show that you could take a joke. That goes a long way with voters in terms of being relatable.
That's 50% of the country, and the other 50% of the country wants to hate this movie, but it's so good. It's so good that even the ones that do hate it and they're trying to publicly hate it are still going to buy Barbies for their kids. That's the balancing act that this movie pulled off that I think is unprecedented in film. I think they made toys, right? We grew up on the movie Toys. There was a very, very poorly done version of what they essentially were kind of trying to do in essence with Barbie to an extent. And I think that the balancing act that they did, listen, there's a ton of most of the right wing does not like this movie, and they're railing against it. And they were railing against it to begin with.
That though, do you think that they were going to like get another Paw Patrol? They were going to get a franchise that could just like half-ass and milk for 30 years. I don't think this is the franchise.
Do you know what preview I watched in front of both of my Barbies? The Paw Patrol movie.
but I'm saying that is today and it's current. It's what the kids are playing with today. Kids aren't playing with Barbies now. This was a gambit, but honestly, it's a calculated risk.
Sure.
Because Barbie was not gonna be the next Paw Patrol. It wasn't gonna be that. Kids don't play with Barbie.
That doesn't mean that they
It had to be subversive.
That.
It had to be clever. It had to take a swing.
It doesn't mean that. I think you're right. But I don't think that the fact that your thinking is like that is what is the normal thinking for a company and for a conglomerate.
And that's why I'm saying this is a paradigm shift now because it proved that you can laugh at yourself. You can.
And by the way, we're about to get some.
You can let women make a movie, and it can be the
we are going to get some terrible shit, by the way, that is a result of this. Like the shit that they're going to greenlight and push through now, by the way, is going to be bad. The lessons they think they've learned from Barbie.
You don't know that.
When has Hollywood ever learned a lesson properly and not driven it into the ground?
You never know.
You
never know. I would like to look at it on the bright side. I think Greta Gerwig is going to inspire a whole new generation of women filmmakers, and that will get better over time.
But not in the fact is that they see dollar signs for Barbie, and we're about to get some fucking bastardization of shit from our childhood that's going to come across terribly.
I don't disagree, but I think overall the Barbie effect is not just changing paradigms in Hollywood and in film, but it's just like culturally. You've read these articles about women are breaking up with their boyfriends. You know, they're crying for the third time, and their boyfriend leans over like, "Why are you crying?" And that's the moment where they're like,
"I love this.
I don't want to be with this person anymore." You know, it is not just changing things in Hollywood. It is like absolutely changing culture in a good way.
Yeah.
What, Ben?
No, I was just agreeing with that point. I think it really is an interesting point where.
And what do your girls think of it?
Well, I mean, they love it. But we're not. It's an inflection point, I would say, at this point, and we're gonna see people who navigate or migrate whatever way, but ultimately, no. Honestly, we're running out of time. I just want to talk about Ninja Turtles.
we do. We only have about 10 minutes left. So I have not seen Ninja Turtles yet. I've heard great things from you guys. I would love to hear more about Ninja Turtles. We will. First of all, I do feel we should also have women on the podcast talking about Barbie, and we will have some coming up in the fucher. Yeah. So we'll revisit this. But let's talk about a man thing. And talk about those Ninja Turtles. How you guys saw it? I have not seen
Ninja
it.
Turtles
it looks
are for
amazing.
Everyone.
It looks amazing. Yeah, because there's one female figure in it. How many women are in Ninja Turtles?
Well, actually, there are quite. We got Rose Byrne as Leatherhead.
Okay.
You got Natasha from
Natasha Lyonne.
So April is played by the girl from The Mayor.
Oh,
What
Natalie.
Lies in the Shadows?
Yeah.
What Lies in the Shadows?
Oh, What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah.
So there's two women in it.
Is Wingnut.
Yeah,
and
two
there's
women.
April O'Neil. And who else do we have? How many more women do we have? Is that it?
That's just the two.
Oh no! The scumbag, the roach is a woman, which is funny because listen, I will spoil one thing for you, Matt, that I don't think that you'll care about. Before I had seen it, I had done a pretty good job of not not going online and seeing memes or I didn't want to get spoiled. I was very much looking forward to it. But the one thing that I couldn't escape was all these like conservative screenshots of like, oh, TMNT gone woke, Splinter gay.
Yeah, he makes out with a male character.
No, he does not.
Oh.
That's the whole point. I watched this, and it was literally the only thing I kind of knew ahead of time. So, of course, as the resident libtard, I'm like rubbing my hands together. I can't wait to see Splinter do something gay. I'm just waiting for it, and I'm hoping, seeing it in Florida, that some parents are going to like storm out of the theater, and I'm going to laugh. No, he doesn't. He falls in love with the roach. Spoiler alert. But the roach is explicitly female.
Boo.
So I don't even like. It's like, what even was that a trolling job? Was that real? At any rate, as far as I know, Splinter is straight, but they left some room open for the sequel. I loved it. I loved Ninja Turtles. It was great.
That entire delivery of all of this was amazing. It was a roller coaster for me. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Splinter was gay and then he was straight, but then he was gay again. And I don't know.
Like back to back, Ben.
Yeah, and I saw my girls, and it is fucking impressive. It really is.
Yeah.
Like it was better on the rewatch. I'm
better than Spider-Verse 2, Ben.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's close though. It's close.
Yeah.
It's real close. I think it's real close.
Spider-Verse is A+ tier, so like that's not saying it's bad at all by any means. But
yeah. It's hard to get to that echelon, but no, I was like, I enjoy it more watching it a second time, which tells you a lot about, especially an animated film. I was like, God damn. And
like the animation is amazing.
Yeah, and Luna was like, oh, it's my new favorite movie.
Aw.
So.
Who's your favorite turtle?
It's got to be
Donatello,
right? Yeah, it's got to be Donatello.
Donatello is the standout for me in this one, but like, I
didn't really like Raph.
Yeah, they're all good. They're all good.
I don't understand how I contain my anger.
Yeah. There was something for kids. And another thing, I walked out of there thinking, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Fire soundtrack, both by Trent Reznor and like every 90s hip hop group I've ever loved.
Crazy.
I've had that on blast for a while.
Oh my God, it's so good. And Ben and I listened to MF Doom on the way home and keep the train rolling. But like that movie is not. I walked out of it and my first realization was it's not my Turtles anymore. It's the first time I really felt that. There have been different incarnations for 20, 30 years. Every generation there's a new version, but this is the first time it really felt like, oh, this is not for me anymore. This is truly for kids, and it's voiced by kids. It's great. I love the direction.
Time it's actually voiced by kids. I mean,
it's really cool. It's really and like, to go back to Spider-Verse, also another interesting thing about this is Ben and I are watching this, and even before the movie starts, we knew the animation style was really striking, and it was. I thought maybe the trailer looked distracting on the big screen. It was amazing. No, but like, even leading up to it, the only trailers for animated films that look cookie cutter are Illumination, anything by Illumination, and the new shitty Paw Patrol movie.
Yeah.
Even the new Disney one, Wish, that is, classically Disney looking, has like a textured, layered. It looks like construction paper in some parts of the animation. That like they're slightly just changing it up a little bit. You see that Spider-Verse effect has really like reached across every corner of animation.
If you watch, if there's a direct line too, right? You watch Spider-Verse, you go to Mitchell's versus the Machines, you go to other Spider-Verse, you go to Ninja Turtles.
Mitchell's versus the Machines, same director as recent.
So I think we're at a really, really great time in animation that paradigm shift is happening for us, and as many of these movies start to make more money, again, executives don't ever learn quite the right lesson, but sometimes they fall backwards into the right lesson, which is like, hey, shit, these last 4 movies did really great. Who was animating them? What were they doing with it? Who are the directors? And that's going to make that shift into that level. It happened with Pixar, right? Pixar did it, then DreamWorks started to like try. It took them a long fucking time, and they still never got there. DreamWorks was always kind of the Looney Tunes version of Pixar, and not to disparage Looney Tunes, but it was just like it was always the broader version of Pixar. Pixar was looking at emotion with their animation, and it took them a while. But then you look at things like Kung Fu Panda, which were trying, right? Like that was the one where you had directors saying like, we can do a little bit better and also do our shit. We're just still going to churn out Minions. Like no matter what, we're going to just fucking keep churning out Minions because they're cheap and they work great for us.
But it still looked the same.
Yeah.
You know, like visually the bar is officially been raised, and like every animator is on notice.
Yeah.
And now that they're unionizing, it'll be even better in the future. But I'll tell you what, one last thing that's like amazing for me in terms of just watching like the landscape and like the possibilities are really wide open for animation in a way that it never has. My dream for Spider-Verse 3 would be a collaboration with Laika. One of the multiverses is an all stop motion, like and like get a good character like Spider-Ham that's like throughout it. Maybe give them a springboard because Laika hasn't quite gotten that hold that it deserves. And like I think that would give it a sort of springboard into their originals again. But like Ben, right? Wouldn't that be great?
Just imagine if they can do that, and they can also do Miyazaki, like straight up.
And it's not outside of their wheelhouse of doing what they did with the Lego stuff, and they like
and
those genre things.
Miyazaki did a Star Wars film.
And it's like what they did with Spider-Punk, right? Like that's a main character in their universe that's animated so bizarrely different from everything else going on. It completely works for them to have characters like that to represent those areas, which I
in a true like love letter to animation fans. How great would it be to use the one last thing they haven't really utilized, which is stop motion, which is something that, like, ever since Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer and the California Raisins and the Penny segment on Pee-wee's Playhouse on Saturday morning,
and that Michael Jackson video where he's amusement park,
totally, with the Scooter Boys and like Up to Nightmare, you know, the most consequential film I've ever seen.
But But I think that the main, like, the point to focus on though with Sony is that we really do need to prioritize. And right now we've got to finish Venom 3.
God damn it.
And we've got to keep delaying. We got to keep delaying Spider-Verse so we can get another Venom out.
Craven soon. Craven.
Oh my God. I love Aaron Taylor Johnson so much. I want this. I want it to be so good, but it's gonna be so bad. God damn it! So Sony
and Sydney Sweeney is going to be Jessica Drake Spider-Girl.
So Nick, Sony is the reason why I have no faith in the lessons from Barbie. Is that everything that they think they have learned is not good, and they should have learned everything from Spider-Verse, but they didn't, and they're going to just keep learning Venom.
They're going to unlearn it real quick, buddy. Real quick.
Except Venom 3 is going to make a bunch of money, and they're not going to learn it. It's going to make plenty of money. The people love the Venom. He brings families together.
Will Arnett is Smartage, the offshoot Carnage creature.
I would
for comedic effect.
I would love for Will Arnett to just drop into a Sony Spider-Verse. He's so happy, so happy.
Smartage.
We are at time for this. This was a lovely catching up with both of you, gentlemen, for the new way. We have a lot of episodes we're trying to work through right now.
And God damn it, Ben, it's great to have you back.
It is absolutely great to have Ben back here. I don't even think I have any more of his. Did we get Ben's feedback on the Electoral College? Did we do that one yet? I don't think we got that one.
My recent bout with cancer has taught me that time is precious. And so I want to make the most of life and not keep anything from our loyal listeners. This is why I feel I should tell you. I was one of the fake Electoral College members in Georgia, and I actively tried to steal the election for our Lord and Savior Donald J. Trump.
That one hurt me, I'll be honest, Ben. Like you shared a lot ahead of times, but that one was really upsetting to me. I'm not gonna lie.
You saved the best for last. That was a real. That was a real slow burn, Matt. I have to admit, that was a real slow burn. But bravo.
That one hurt to type. I had to type into my computer, our Lord and Savior Donald J. Trump, and that exists somewhere now in a database. I have typed that out.
You talk about our Lord and Savior that one.
No, it's so great to have you back. We have a lot of really fun episodes coming up. I will say our super fan, Patrick, has called me on multiple occasions to be putting together an Ahsoka episode that I am working on with a few other collaborators. That's going to be a fun one. I know Ken Posner and Elizabeth Robinson are chomping at the bit to talk X-Men and Daredevil, which I'm going to definitely have Nick and Ben on that one. So we have some really, really fun episodes coming up. And we've got Ryan will be in town in just about a month's time. And I will make him watch Guys and Dolls and do a full commentary track on it in real time on it. So it's going to be fantastic.
Seriously, check the blinds, Ryan. He hides the machines and the blinds.
I do. He's not wrong. But you're going to get to it. It's great. Right. Thank you guys so much for listening to the New Way podcast. We will be bringing out, we're going to try to get as many more out by the new year as we can. We apologize for the delays between episodes, but isn't it worth it? Like, isn't this just fantastic to hear us right now? Aren't you just happy right now you listen to an hour and a half of the New Way podcast?
I know I am.
I am too.
How hard are you?
Pretty hard, Ben.
On a scale 1 to 10?
On a scale 1 to 10, Ben. I am Ben hard right now. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Cheers.
That was a good one.